But snap judgments for snap fitness for the feeling. Round 7, the Rabbitohs 36, Dolphins 14, competitive to half-time. Gee, Cody Walker's a player. He's a player.
Oh, Jules, he's a great player. And he's multifaceted in the fact that when Cody first came into first grade, he used to just hunt and support through the middle. And then he developed his game where he organises pre-organised sequences for his left side. And I thought for a little while he ventured away from his strength, that supporting, Cook through the middle, but he's returned to that. He's got both facets of the game going. And when he's in the middle of the field, just sniffing around Cook and Cam Murray, that's when when Cody's at his best. Yeah, they were really, really good. Jason Demetrio, for him to come up against the old master, and Wayne just loves beating like his students to a degree. To guys who he's to show that he's still the boss. I could see how much Wayne was hurting after the game. It just shows how up for that contest he and the Dolphins were, but Demetrio just got it done. No mean feat against Wayne.
It was fascinating afterwards. He talked about expending the energy up front, like hard, and then the reward for that at the back end of the game is field position, and that's when Latrell and Cody and these guys come into their own.
Well, they do. When South Sydney play fast and they concentrate their football through the middle, all good stuff starts to happen. Two things that happened in the last 2 weeks that through the game I went, okay, they're on. Here they go. Was one in the first set against the Bulldogs. Cam Murray shot straight across the advantage line and it went to put Cody Walker away on the inside. So I thought, yep, Cody's in the middle. Here we go. And then last week, about halfway through the first half, Latrell was just floating around the middle on the inside of Cam Murray, and you went, yes, okay, they got their focus right. And when they're like that, it's just a matter of time. And when they start to score points, South, man, they can be unstoppable.
Cam Murray, you mentioned there. I heard on Morning Glory on Friday chatting with the Webby about maybe they're trying to manage his minutes, Cam Murray. 61 minutes, 159 running metres, 6 tackle breaks, 34 tackles.
What a play. And I'm doing the podcast later this afternoon for Foxtel with Cooper Cronk. And one of the things we're going to talk about, I'm going to show the vision with about 20 minutes to go in the first half. Cam Murray, because of the way the Dolphins play, they just concentrate all their football, making all the middlemen make tackle after tackle after tackle. And Cam Murray at one point was struggling getting off the ground, and I thought, man, he's in trouble. He's out of gas. He's cooked already. And then, mate, next minute he just goes wham and dominates the contest for the next 10 minutes. It's that he can just push himself, but he's a brilliant player. He's getting better and better as a playmaker. In fact, now he has become one of the main focal points of South Sydney's attack. He's doing what Isaiah Yeo does to Penrith.
Do you reckon Jai Arrow's return had a bit to do with how they managed him minutes-wise?
I think so. Jai he's got such a strong work rate, Jai, and he was a big loss at the start of the year. Through that middle, they had to move Kalamatangi into the middle for a stint, but isn't that a blow? By the way, that's a big blow. He's gone for up to 8 weeks with syndesmosis. But yeah, Jai Arrow makes a big difference. Just a workaholic, and what a lot of times, we always look, particularly me with a playmaker, you're looking what people do with the football. But Jai Arrow is one of these guys. He's easy to underestimate because you just don't see the amount of work he's getting through in the middle. So, yeah, he makes an enormous difference to Murray's game.
We're going to rip through the rest of the Round 7 snap judgments this morning on the Roundup after the news headlines. The Round 7 snap judgments. Friday night, Matty, PointsBet Stadium. You talked about Nico Hines, what a star he was. Sharks 22, Roosters 12.
Yeah, terrific play. Very, very good, strong performance from the Sharks. And once again, Jules, we're talking about the Roosters' slow start. So and people say I've got good mates who are Roosters fans. I take the piss out of them quite a bit. Being Newcastle, we're natural enemies, blue collar versus white collar stuff.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Anyway, we're having a bit of a chat about it, and my mate said, "Yeah, but we have a slow start every single year, and we time our run for September." Now, Jules, the drama with that, and we saw this last year with the Roosters, is when you get off to a slow start, you hit the middle of the season, and from there, from the middle of the year, you start to play high-pressure games because you've got to accumulate points to make the finals. And I see this with sides constantly. Slow start, great middle of the season. Then they hit the finals and they get bundled out early simply because they've spent their pennies getting there. Like, I always believe a strong start, you don't need to be playing your best football at the start of the year, but you need to start strongly. And it buys you a little bit of rest time through the middle of the year.
There's a beautiful short side play in the second half by Hines for that Blake Brayley try. A great game too. Just on the Chookies, 3 players, Ben, Butcher, Radley and Smith. Is there a discipline problem there at Bondi, Matty?
I don't think so. I think there's probably at the moment a bit of a frustration problem. They've got to work out the Manu situation is one that must be sort of nagging away a little bit, I imagine, at Trent Robbo. I think he's going to have to move Manu into the midfield to get the best out of him. Last year, right at this time, last year when they were struggling exactly as they are now, and they made a decision. I think it might have been after the Anzac Day clash against the Dragons that they put Manu into 6, and everything changed. You just straightened them up. They had a lot more midfield penetration. That's what they're lacking at the moment. Their attack tends to skim across the face of the defence, and when you particularly saw that when Brandon Smith went off the field, they just lack punch through the middle.
Friday night at Brookie, Seagulls 18, Storm 8. This was a good old-fashioned throwback, this game, wasn't it? And if I'm a Manly fan, I'm delighted that, after so many high-scoring games, that you can grind out a win like this.
Yeah, well done to Anthony Seibold. He's been under a lot of early season pressure, or the last 2 weeks he's been under a lot of pressure, and the side delivered for him. There's the old saying that criticism sharpens the sword, and the sword is defence. And desire's measured by defence, and they had plenty of it. I was sitting just behind the post, Jules, and when Olakau'atu and Josh Alae hit Olam, the sound,
bang,
and it said everything that Olam couldn't get up. Yeah. Like Olam he's made of stone. He couldn't get off the ground. I haven't seen many more physical games than that match. It was a great effort by Manly.
Tony on the text line says, ask Matty Johns his opinion on whether Craig Bellamy got it horribly wrong in moving the best number 6 in the world to fullback. Wally was never put back there, he said.
No, Wally wasn't. I don't think Wally... Put it this way, I don't think Wally would have went back there.
No.
He would have said, look, it's... We're making that judgment in hindsight. I know what it's saying here, but if anything, like, he played a bit of fullback last year and he excelled because when you look at it, in theory he should play better because he can roam the whole field. But I reckon what it did, Jules, is that it made him do a lot of unnecessary running, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, it's a bit like when you watch, sometimes sides will play against Latrell, they'll kick early over his head and basically try to burn him out with meaningless runs or runs out of his area, out of his red zone. Same thing to an extent happened to Munster, but it wasn't really his conditions either, and they were slightly off. Right, when Harry Grant is making simple errors like he was, there's no doubt that the Melbourne Storm were off their game.
Saturday, Mount Smart Stadium, the Warriors, they continue to roll on. 22 points defeating the Cowboys 14. So the Warriors have been impressing people this season. I don't think the same can be said, this stage anyway, about North Queensland.
Oh, North Queensland. Every single week we just wait for them to come good. Yeah. And, I'm selecting them week in, week out, purely in reputation. They've just lost their focus, Jules. They're like a heavyweight boxer who trusts their power too much. They're trying to win their games, honestly, on one big play all the time. You watch them when they make line breaks. They're throwing flick passes, impetuous kicks back through the middle. There is no thought to building their game. They've lost their way. I think they're watching their attack. They need to revamp elements of their attack. I think the shapes have become predictable. And
missing tackles, Matty. They missed 37 missed tackles.
Well, here's the thing, Jules. When their whole focus, when you trust your attack too much, the first thing that suffers is your defence. And they're pouring so much energy into what they're doing with the football that they're not transitioning into defence. Now, the crucial moment in that game, and I think said everything about where both sides are. And the North Queensland gave away a 7-tackle set with, I think, about five minutes to go. And they scooped it up, the Warriors, and they went up 7 tackles extra. Now, in this instance, really hard-nosed professional sides elevate their defensive energy to protect their field position. Whereas North Queensland went back. North Queensland, honestly, their defence that set of 6 was so passive that the Warriors just marched down through the middle of the field, and Sean Johnson laid on that peach of a try for Josh Curran. It was their defensive attitude with the game on the line was so poor.
We love watching an informed Sean Johnson, don't we?
Johnson, yeah. Jules, I haven't seen many better resurgence than what we're seeing from Sean Johnson. That pass to Curran, you do not see many better short passes than that. It was a peach. It was beautiful.
Now, you've touched on the Panthers and the Knights. Just a quick word, this hair pull on Luai, that and also that, this Gagai back chat penalty.
Yeah. Look, I don't know exactly what Dane Gagai said, but I rewound to watch it. He only said a couple of words. Dane said that he said it through frustration to the opponent. I don't know. I wasn't privy to what went on, but it was pretty heavy-handed, and I tell you what, it was a big blow given the fact that Penrith were under huge pressure there, and managed to score off that penalty. And the other one, the hair pull, like on the referee had half a second to look at it, and he ruled it was a deliberate hair pull. As we see we're looking back in hindsight, look, Tyson just grabbed the collar. Grabbing the hair was incidental. It's interesting, Jules, the NFL have a rule, I believe, that if the hair goes out of the helmet and onto the jersey, then the hair becomes part of the jersey. Yeah. That's their ruling. Look, they got that one completely wrong.
Broncos 43, Titans 26. Haas and Walsh start again. But I want to get your thoughts on big day for Fetus' performance in a losing side, Matty. 67 minutes, 173 run metres. Line break assist, 4 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 36 tackles.
Sensational. You know what, Jules? He's showing he cares. Right? There were moments through last year that I thought that the pressure of the big contract and all that ate him up. And that he looked a shell of himself. I'm not saying I'm not saying he was disinterested. He appeared disinterested, but I think it was definitely just the pressure getting to him. Watching that game, he was everywhere across the field. He was encouraging players. There was he took the challenge up to Payne Haas. He took it up to Payne and Carrigan. He was great. There was so much to like about his football. A big change in his football has come, Jules, by he's learning the game off Kieran Foran. Switching from the right edge to the left edge to work in combination with Foran is making his career. There's certain things in the game, like Kieran was hitting him on short passes, which he was drilling through or getting quick play of the balls, and other times he was running the same fierce line, and at the last second Kieran would just tip the ball out the back to the sweep runner, and Fafita was making space by running that nice straight line. He's just learning the science of the game, and he's learning how to use his size and power.
Raiders 20, Dragons 14. We touched upon that. I think the less said, the better. And finally, the Eels, great 80s rivalry, Matty, but one-way traffic, 30 defeat, the Dogs 4.
Yeah, they're starting to get a little bit of traction, Jules, and the spine are playing better. I thought Dylan Brown was better yesterday, ran the football a lot more. Sean Lane makes a huge difference to Dylan Brown, but I thought at the start of this season Dylan was just playing within himself, given his great natural talents, his athleticism. So yeah, it was good to see. They're really starting to get going, and geez, I tell you what, they put some pressure on Reid Marnie. Mm-hmm. They were all
didn't he cop it from the crowd too? They let him know.
Yeah, they did. They did. I mean, that's what the game's about.
Yeah.
If you pack up your tent and you go elsewhere, then the fans are going to let you know about it. It was all good. There was nothing really mean-spirited about it.
Those are the Round 7 Snap Judgements, thanks to Snap Fitness. Snap Fitness has you covered. Visit your local Snap Fitness to find out more, snapfitness.com.au.